Welcome to Theme Weavers, your weekly wisdom for weaving yoga themes into your classes to inspire your students. I'm your host, Heidi Kasner. Let's get started. Welcome, Theme Weavers. Today we are going to look at how to deliver a Dharma talk and weave the theme of Garuda, which teaches us to rise above challenges with focus, strength, and devotion. If this is the first episode that you're listening to, please be sure to go back and check out season 1, episode 2 of the podcast. So that way you can get some details and background on the structure and why we even weave themes through your yoga classes to begin with. Every episode, I break down a new theme for you to use in your classes as inspiration for you and your students. And I like to think this podcast is even nice for people, even if you're not a yoga teacher, but just like a lover of yoga or things yoga, because every episode you can really deepen your knowledge of yoga theming and philosophy to help you tap into more of the practice beyond the asana, beyond the postures, since a lot of people don't even know about that. And it's pretty magical and impactful. If you do decide to use today's teaching on Garuda and you're a yoga teacher, then try to find a way to turn my voice into your own, so that way the theme is authentic to you specifically. The way I talk might not be how you talk. And just a few little housekeeping items before I dive into today's story time. Try and be fast. It means so much to me when you give feedback on the episodes and what it's like for you to listen. Every time somebody reaches out, I'm always like, oh, I can't believe somebody's on the other end. It's so meaningful and I'm so appreciative, whether it's in person, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, email, whatever. Just feeling connected to you all and knowing that you're listening and enjoying is very, very meaningful. So thank you. There is also an option if you enjoy the podcast, or specifically if you're a chromatic yoga teacher and you want to be able to track hours of your education toward moving up within the trajectory. We do have an option to monetize the podcast. It's a small monthly subscription. And especially if you're a chromatic teacher, it lets you track your hours as continuing education. So you can move up within the trajectory of chromatic yoga. And if you're not a chromatic yoga person, but you just want to thank me for the content and our time that is put into this, thank you. I appreciate it. It really means a lot. You can reach out with email or anything if you need help with any of this. Please make sure that you follow the show, not just listen to it, but follow it and leave a review with stars and all the things. It makes a difference. So thank you if you have done that. And if not, please go do it. It would mean a lot. And lastly, we have an official course. Theme Weavers Academy has launched. It's a really quick, practical course that Farron and I made when we were working together to help you build your classes with confidence and creativity when it comes to theming. I have a link in the show notes to be able to check out that course. It's relatively inexpensive and lots of resources and hopefully really helpful. I've also written a book. The link to that will be in the show notes. It's called Energize Your Life. It's a chakra workbook for personal transformation. You can visit my website, heidikasneryoga.com/chakra book for details, but the link will be in the show notes. So that's it. Those are the housekeeping items. Thanks for listening to them if you didn't fast forward through them. And now let's just dive on in to today's episode. So here we go. Yoga story time. Gather around. Today, I want to be able to share with you all the story behind Garudasana, which is a Sanskrit name for eagle pose. And this is a myth that talks about freedom and devotion and rising above life's challenges. It's a pretty cool one. So the story begins in the heavens with Garuda, who's this giant, majestic eagle. He's like the king of the birds. He's really large, really strong, all the things. He's like the best bird that there is, best eagle. But Garuda was born to Vinata, who was a servant to her sister Kadru. And she's her servant because Kadru ran this like super cruel trick. It was a bet over the color of a horse's tail, of all things, and she lost. So then she had to become the servant of her sister-in-law. Not really that important part of the story, but I want you to know that she lost the bet due to some sneaky tricks about a horse's tail color. Anyway, Kadru enslaved Vinata, and Garuda grew up watching his mother suffer and live a life of servitude. So despite the fact that Garuda had a ton of strength and power as this majestic, powerful eagle, he watched her suffer and desperately wanted to free her. So one day, Garuda approached his aunt, I guess, Kadru, and asked what he could do to free his mother. Kadru was still super sneaky, really cunning. She demanded something extraordinary. She wanted Garuda to go find the nectar of immortality. And this is often a theme in mythology. It's this like elixir of immortality guarded by the gods. Really hard to get. Everybody seems to want it. So Garuda was determined to save his mother, and so he went on this treacherous journey to go find the nectar. His path was full of obstacles, right? There's fierce winds, fiery storms, divine guardians trying to block it. But Garuda had unwavering devotion, and that gave him the strength to persevere. So he had incredible focus, and using some grace, he soared above all the challenges that came his way. And ta-da! He retrieved the nectar and secured his mother's freedom. Amazing. But of course, Garuda doesn't end there. Instead of using the nectar for his own gain of living a life of immortality, he offered it back to the gods. So that earned him the gods' respect, and he became the Mount of Vishnu. So, little side note, every god has a mount. It's kind of like an animal figure that they ride upon, and there are stories around them, sometimes other myths around their mounts and things like that. But because of this, Garuda got to be the Mount of Vishnu. And this might be important in future stories. You'll have to keep listening. So, through this story, Garuda embodied strength, focus, and devotion, and taught us that when we act with purpose and integrity, we can rise even above the most difficult circumstances. I mean, I think it's pretty amazing that this myth isn't just about physical strength, it's about the inner strength that we cultivate when we dedicate ourselves to something greater than our egos, essentially. Life often does present us with obstacles that seem pretty insurmountable. I'm sure that you've found that life can give you difficult relationships, professional struggles, or even the huge obstacle that so many of us face, and myself included, self-doubt. So like Garuda, you might feel weighed down by the challenges in front of you. But this myth reminds us that our freedom lies in our ability to rise above our challenges and insecurities. If we have the focus, the perseverance, and willingness to face our fears, we can overcome things. Garuda's devotion to his mom gave him the strength to overcome all of these incredible odds. And in the same way, we can find strength when we are able to act with love and purpose in our own lives. I think this is an incredibly relevant lesson today because it is really easy to get caught up in the chaos of our lives, right? Whether it's the constant pull of technology, the uber sensationalization of media and news that we're all slammed down with, pressures from society, personal fears. It's really hard to stay grounded and focused, and that has to become a skill that we can cultivate. So as you're moving through your practice today, I want you to think about Garudasana, which is eagle pose, as a reflection of Garuda's strength and grace. The pose itself requires balance, it requires focus, it requires a willingness to us embrace discomfort. So if you can feel your legs wrap around each other, creating a strong foundation, and your arms wrapping around each other like Garuda's wings, lifting you above any challenges that weigh you down, then you can really gain some amazing inspiration from Garuda and what he overcame. And before I even get into how we can, make this theme come alive in the class, I just want to share that I don't know about you, but a lot of people, if they had the opportunity to get this, I always think of it as an elixir, but it's the nectar of immortality, they would I don't know, keep it for themselves or sell it to the highest bidder where they can get the most amount of money from it. But most people wouldn't go and return it where it came from after freeing their parent, right? Most people would find some selfish or egoic use of the nectar itself. So I think that when you're thinking about this myth of Garuda and what he did and all that he did, I think it's also important to reflect on our own values and ethics when it comes to being tempted to keep something as our own, or tempted to take what's not ours to begin with. And throughout yoga philosophy, we do have inspiration from the yamas and the niyamas, the ethical restraints and things that we should be doing in our lives in order to be living balanced, sound, ethical living aligned with yoga. And one of them is do not steal, right? Asteya. So I think that Garuda really also demonstrated what asteya can look like, because it's really easy. He already took it. He already stole it. He could have kept it for him and his mom, but he didn't. He did the right thing. He did the right ethical action. So I think that's important when you're moving throughout class or moving throughout your life to also think about where your values lie. If you're tempted with something that's not yours, but you have it in your hands, do you keep it? Do you give it back? What do you do? Yeah. So it's just something to think about there too. But all right, back to the class. So we finished talking about this, and now it's important to think about the phrase that we'll use to bring back the intention of the theme throughout the whole class. So what do we say about this myth of Garuda throughout class to remind us of the lessons of the myth? One option is root down like Garuda's strength, then rise above, or just root down, rise above to shorten it. Or perhaps something like let your arms become wings, lifting you beyond challenges. Or can you find freedom through focus and balance? Or perhaps each breath is a reminder of your inner strength. That's a nice one. Or another one I came up with was stay grounded, stay present, and let yourself soar. Those are some options for what we call thematic through-line phrases, these phrases that bring us back throughout class to the theme. So it's not like we're like, hey, here's this myth about Garuda, and then eventually we get to eagle pose. That's what I would use as my peak posture. We'll talk about that in a second. And then maybe at the end you remember to talk about it again. No, it's like really important to have phrases and things that you drop throughout class, almost like breadcrumbs that you can pick up along the path that keep bringing you back along the trail, back to the theme. So whether it's one of those phrases that I use or a different one that reminds you about the inspiration of Garudasana, eagle pose, and this myth of mythical Garuda, you pick yours that works for you. But those are some that I like. So what other things do we want to talk about that we can bring alive this myth throughout class? Obviously, eagle pose, or at least it's obvious to me, because it is legitimately the posture named after Garuda. So eagle pose, if you're not familiar, you pick up, we'll start with the right leg. So you pick up the right leg, cross it tight over the left, maybe even then bind the right foot behind the left calf. And then the right arm comes underneath the left. And then either pressing your knuckles together or giving yourself a high five. So the right hand then wraps all the way behind the left wrist and then brings the fingers to touch on the left palm. I'm doing it now if you're looking. And then if you're nice and open, working on bringing your elbows to shoulder height and pressing your forearms away from your face. So it's like a double wrap, right? Arms are double wrapped, legs are double wrapped. It's a lot. But I like to, when I'm doing this, maybe it's just eagle pose as your peak. Maybe it's variations of eagle, like nested eagle, where you bring your elbows and thighs closer together. Like you keep the double binds and you sit down into a chair and you try and tap elbows and thighs or elbows and knees together. Sometimes I even like to do a class that's a little bit more flow based, where you are an eagle and then you're a nested eagle and then you're back an eagle and then you're like an eagle taking flight where you unwrap. So if it was the right leg over the left, when you come back up to unwrap and take flight, instead of just leaving the pose, your arms outstretched wide like your wings and your right leg reaches out wide to the right. So it's abducting and waking up your outer hip muscles, your abductor muscle group, and then double binding again. Right, and then nest, and then unnest, and then open up, take flight. And it's like this rhythmic dance of almost in my brain how I would picture Garuda on this journey. That's pretty cool. You can also throw in like the eagle arms throughout class. It's really nice to do it on your back when you start class, working on the wrap of the legs, work on the wrap of the arms. You can do like nested eagle on your back, like little crunches to wake up your core. You could do airplane or warrior 3 or any like warrior 1 or crescent lunge, all with eagle arms. So there's lots of ways that you can play and prepare the body for a class that's working toward Garudasana. Garuda mudra is actually not the arm bind. The mudra is the hand gesture, right? So Garuda mudra is the hand gesture where the thumbs interlock while the rest of the fingers of the hands stay extended, keeping the palms open. So I'm doing it right now if you're looking. It's kind of like when you think about a little kid making little bird hands, that type of a thing. Some quotes. I have an unknown one. The sky is not the limit, your mind is. That can be a nice one to use in this class. Or another one is what lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. And that's Ralph Waldo Emerson. That one I especially like when you're focusing on the ethical values that Garuda had, where he didn't keep the nectar for himself, he gave it back. So that quote reminds me of, it's not just about the journey of what's ahead or what we've already been through, but what do we carry inside of us? What values do we have? What guides us? I think that's kind of nice. Or Jim Rohn said, focus is the bridge between intention and accomplishment. That sort of fits in with that theme as well. Or Rumi, you were born with wings. Why prefer to crawl through life? Right? So like Garuda soared to be able to get what he wanted. He could have easily stayed on land and just sort of like watched his mother stay a slave and not do anything to help. But he soared. He rose above. He did the hard tasks to be able to help his mother. Pretty cool. Another thing you could do in this class to bring it alive, I'm not really big with music in terms of picking popular songs that match a theme. That's just not the way that I teach, but I know a lot of people do. So I was trying to think about some songs that would really represent this theme, this myth. So Katy Perry has one, Rise, or Lynyrd Skynyrd, Freebird. Steve Miller Band, Fly Like an Eagle. Remember that? Fly like an eagle to the sea. Or U2, that song Elevation. That was a fun one. I think it came out when I was in college. It's like, Elevation. Woo! Yeah. Still theme weavers, so I'm going to be singing, even if I'm just singing to myself in my closet. So not my style class to do that, but I wanted to offer it in case it is your style. All right, so let's wrap up the class now that we talked about all of that. This is the type of how I would tend to close a class like this, a reverse Dharma talk to close it out and bring us back to the theme. So as you step off of your mat, carry Garuda's lesson with you. Life will always bring challenges, but strength already lies within you to rise above them. Like Garuda, can you face even the fiercest storms with grace when you act with purpose and focus? Think about the areas of your life where you might feel stuck or weighed down. What would it look like to rise above with love, devotion, and integrity? Remember, your freedom lies not in escaping challenges, but in meeting them with courage and clarity. All right, yogis, if you liked this yoga story time, find a way to bring the theme alive in your own voice, in your own practice, and your teaching. The story of Garuda teaches us to rise above challenges with focus, strength, and devotion, no matter what comes our way. I hope that this myth will inspire you to face life's obstacles with grace and soar into your fullest potential, both on and off the mat. All right, then please reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, or email and let me know how it lands. I'm here to support you, fellow yoga teacher, in your class preparation and delivery. So let me know how I can be of help and of the most support to you. Tune in next time for a new myth for inspiration for your classes. And don't forget to check out our course, Theme Weavers Academy, Crafting Impactful Classes. You can click the link in the show notes to learn more and enroll. And I hope you enjoy it. Take care. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next week with a new myth and modern inspiration to bring to your practice and your teaching. See you next time.